Okay. And one thing, the disclaimer for Drew and Jim and Scott, I've had to cut down your resumes a little bit for a short bio. Because as I said, I can talk for hours on these incredible people. So I apologize up front. I thought I'd pull out what was important, or what I thought was important. And also I apologize now for butchering your names. With that, I'd like to introduce Rick Bonnell. Rick, 1985 Guinness World Record holder for a 19-man backflip at Grand Target. 1978 World Cup aerials, 1979 to 1983 World Cup FIS judge, co-founder of Park West Freestyle Foundation, which is now the Wasatch Freestyle Foundation Olympic Training Center. He was ski and outdoor rep for Columbia Sportswear for many, many years, and the owner and head coach of Mountain West Gymnastics. What I found amazing about Rick was he and his wife, Heidi, adopted 2 children from Ukraine in 2002 and 2004. Rick Bonnell, Rick, would you stand? Bob Young, Bob was supposed to be here. The empty chair, but Bob competed for 4 years on the Pro Freestyle Tour, and they elected him a judge. And he judged a full season of the World Cup. Later, he became the first FIS A-licensed American judge and spent 40 years judging World Cup freestyle. Bob, thank you. Bob Young. Dan Fromer competed on the freestyle tours, and he said he always made enough money to continue. He was the PSIA instructor at Bogus Basin, Squaw Valley, and he's been a PSIA member since 1974. And I want to congratulate Dan for retiring yesterday. Dan, would you please stand? Drew Wallen. Drew is the founder and president of the Idaho Chipper Foundation, a writer, photojournalist, and outdoorsman. And Drew holds an MBA from the University of Puget Sound. An accomplished freestyle competitor, he worked for Dina Star Skis, Solomon Bindings, and Scott Boots, and became director of product development, promotion, and competition for Scott USA. After leaving the ski industry, he became a PGA Club Pro for many golf courses in the Boise area. He is a member of the Pioneer of Freestyle Skiing, U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. Drew Wallen. Please stand. Jim Garrison. Jim is going to be with us tonight, but I thought I would introduce him now. He's a K2 national and international demo team member. K2 demo team member for Dick Barrymore Films. Certified PSI at age 19. PSI National Academy Freestyle Coach at A-Basin. Sun Valley Ski School instructor. Past PSIA Freestyle Examiner. And he too is a member of the Pioneer of Freestyle Skiing, U.S. Ski Hall of Fame. You will meet Jim tonight. This next guy I can talk about forever, but I had to cut it short, Scott. Scott Brooksbank, the ultimate professional, the multi-talented Brooksbank took freestyle to a new level as an athlete, coach, and organizer. Jonathan McMenamin called Scott Brooksbank the most decorated freestyle skier in history. During the sport's 1970s heyday, Scott won 5 world titles, made more than 40 podium appearances, and perhaps the most notable, multiple titles in all 3 freestyle widely diverse disciplines, moguls, aerials, and ballet. This is dear to my heart. Scott received the Chevrolet Corvette for winning the first big international contest of the year. I'm a big Corvette guy, Scott. He was Ski Racing's International Freestyle Skier of the Year and Skiing Men's Freestyle Skier of the Year. And Scott is also an honored member of the U.S. Ski Hall of Fame. Scott Brooks, my friend. Scott. And finally, Genia Fuller-Cruz. Genia was once the opening act for the Gatling Brothers. She's also the voice for one of the bears in Bear Country at Disneyland. An innovator in pole-free ballet, considered one of the legends of freestyle skiing, competing for 8 years. She performed in over 500 days of dryland ski shows. 3 times Skiing Magazine Skier of the Year, an honored member of the U.S. Ski Hall of Fame. I'm proud to introduce to you, Genia Fuller-Cruz.
It's really bad when the podium is taller than you. You want to give me steps? No, I'm fine. I can stand still sometimes. Anyway, first and foremost, I want to thank the Far West Ski Association for having me. I was extremely surprised and extremely flattered when Jane called me and Randy sent me the invitation for keynote speaker. It's not something I do all the time, but I am truly passionate about the sport. And I want to thank Drew Wallen for bringing me back into the fold. We all make life choices that take us away from things. And in 2011, Drew and I worked to find 80 of our pioneers for freestyle skiing to bring them up to Sun Valley, Idaho, to be inducted as a group as the pioneers of freestyle skiing. And what a magical week that was. It's an unusual family, an unusual community, the freestyle group. We were each other's coaches. We didn't have coaches. We were each other's psychiatrists at the time. They weren't available at that time. There was still a stigma attached. But we coached and we mentored and we traveled together. You see that blog that travels together? We were that blog. And we were in Europe. And I remember standing in the train station in Zurich with Scott Willingham, who was a men's ballet champion, saying, "Okay, Scott, where are we going?" And he goes, "Well, it's somewhere down there." So Scott, what is this place? It's called Pralou. It was in France, and it's a brand new resort, so nobody else knew where it was either. We got on the train, the guys threw the equipment through the window to the girls, and the train took off. The doors closed, the train took off, and the guys were still on the platform. So we go off at the next stop, unloaded all the equipment, and waited for the guys to come. I mean, we had experiences like that all over the place. But to tell you a little bit about myself, I grew up in New England, in a little town called Framingham, Massachusetts. And I started figure skating at age 2. My dad was a Navy veteran, World War II Navy veteran. And there was some sort of a deal with the membership for the Skating Club of Boston, and he accepted that. So that was our family group activity. My brother hated it until he discovered girls, and then he was cool with it. But I took it very seriously. And the first person to take me around the ice rink was world and Olympic champion Dr. Tenley Albright. And I was 2, she had me in her arm, took me around the rink. And I said, okay, I want to do this. So Mom and Dad got me some skates, and we would go every Friday night where the kids would have their time, and the adults would have their time. And, we skated, and then there was all together time, so it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun. And I did that till I was like 13 or 14-ish, had an ankle injury, and then discovered that ski boots gave me more support, so I started skiing in a very small area called Jericho Hill in Marlborough, Massachusetts. 2 rub toes, yeah. 200 vertical feet, maybe? Yes. A few trees on the left, a couple more on the right. And then they put in night skating. Holy cow, we were excited because we could ski all day and all night. And we were blue when we got home. But the point here is, I was not a big mountain skier. I babysat so I could give Mom gas money, so I could get over there and pay for my lift ticket. So I was not handed anything. At all. To me, it was the work ethic being instilled. And if I wanted to do something, then I needed to work hard for it. And that has carried me through life tenfold. I don't know anything else other than working hard. And as a matter of fact, I'm now an EMT, and I was working a dog show last weekend. And one of the judges, I was breaking everything down. He goes, "Oh, I'll help you." And he goes, "You work really hard, So it's kind of carried through my life. But when I started over at Jericho, I realized that the skating came in handy, and I could do Royal Christies and 360s. Woo! Okay? I expanded on that a lot. But I took that, and once in a while, my dad would take us up to a bigger mountain in New England, and I loved it. I loved it. The wind, the solitude, the exhilaration. There's just nothing that can beat it, and I think we'll all agree with that. It's your sport. It's what you make of it. And I made a lot of it, so it was something that I was passionate about. I decided that that's what I wanted to do with my life, and I got a lot of criticism from schoolmates that I didn't realize at that point in my life was jealousy. What are you going to do with skiing? Where are you going to go with this? All you talk about is skiing, because I was passionate about it, and I wanted to do it. I didn't find anything wrong with that. And, I got through school through bribery by my mother. She had to come and explain that I was truly a free spirit many times. Anyways, but I applied for college. I was going to do phys ed. And then I decided I got a teaching job up at Killington, Vermont. There was an instructor's clinic. And I persuaded my mom to let me go up. And out of the 300 people, I finished 3rd. And they offered me a full-time job. And I looked at them and said, "I'm only 17. I'll take a part-time job." So I went up every weekend, all my vacations. And I taught myself blue in the face, but I learned to technically ski well. Peter Duke, Cal Cantrell, Stu Campbell, Bear Bryant, these are the people that taught me to ski. These are the creme de la creme, national D team members, and just great people. And so I ended up getting certified. I was 18, beep, Chuck. I was 18 and very young, and Peter Duke would criticize and go, "Stay on the ground, Fuller, there's no air in the bumps," because we had the ski bumps for part of the certification class. So I did, but I really liked the air. I liked it a lot. So I taught at Killington, and then I was doing local competitions. There was no men's or women's groups. It was all a group, and we competed against each other. And I did pretty well. I wasn't out there to win. I was out there to have a good time. And that was kind of my mental state the whole time I was competing. It was fun. It was exciting. Oh, I won. It was like, holy cow. Anyway, so there was a ski group that wanted to see how I would do in a big competition, and nationals were out at Sun Valley in 1973. I think I was 18. Yeah, just about. So I flew out there, Had no idea what soft snow was, could not stay on my feet. The first day was ballet, and I kind of knew what I was doing, but I got really stuck, and I ended up sixth. I was ecstatic because I wasn't last. The next day were moguls, and I don't know how many of you skied at Sun Valley, but there's a run there called Exhibition. Any of you skied it? Okay, number one, it has a side cut. It's not your straight face run. So that's a glitch. The bumps are bigger than anything I had ever seen. So I remember taking a deep breath and swallowing and going, okay, here we go. You know, whatever happens, happens. I was fourth. I was so excited because it was better than the day before. And I still wasn't last. So the third day was aerials. And I like to do anything that deals with jumping. So I'm thinking, I said, you know, I've got to beat the Susie Chaffee chick. I had never met her. Oh, I've met her a lot since then, but I'd never met her. I just knew who she was with publicity and everything. So I went out there and I jumped my little heart out, and I won. I won the aerials. And so I had my first national title in 1973. I was thrilled. It was like, yeah, this is really fun. So I went back to New England, Cape Cod to be exact, and worked my waitressing job at Chatham Bars Inn, very old exclusive inn that you high trade. And that was my summer job, and saved my money. And then I moved to Park West as freestyle director that fall. And Susie Chaffee called me and said, look, Willy Bogner's doing a film. Can you do this? And I thought, sure, you know, 6 weeks in summer in Switzerland? I don't know. Okay, so we went and we filmed. We froze our tails off. We had a blast. It was with a lot of the European guys, Fritzi Gotthammer, his brother Ernst, Manfred Kastner. These are just stellar guys that ended up coming on the tour the following year. We got home. The first competition, was Waterville Valley. And I was not really known at that point, but the first day was ballet and I won. That was cool. Second day was moguls and I won. That was really cool. And the third day was aerials and I won. Wow. So my game plan throughout the whole time I competed was to do all three events, ballet, moguls, and aerials, and work towards the overall title, which to me was the big prize of the weekend. So I'm still the only one that's won all three, plus the combined in a single competition. And that, because ballet is not included, will not be done again.
Nice.
So that's kind of an exciting thing to hold on to. These people that have come today are some of the most special people to me. Brooksbank, I can't believe you drove up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Scott has more accolades than I can write on a page. It takes at least 4 or 5, maybe 6. Drew Wallen, I was talking about making life choices and that type of thing, and I kind of lost a lot of my confidence, lost a lot of who I was. Drew is responsible for putting me back straight and narrow and making me realize that what I did was important and that it mattered. And I'm very grateful for that. Rick, you're amazing. You're doing all the preventative medicine. What do you call it again? Functional medicine, thank you. The functional medicine to find the root cause of the discomfort and treat it accordingly without, a mass of pills, medications, whatever. So thank you for that, and thank you for doing what you did. Dan Fromer, what can I say? You are the most fun guy. Dan came to our ballet day at Squaw Valley, Palisades. I can't say it. I can't. It's Squaw Valley. Anyway, Dan came to Squaw Valley and performed, and the poor guy, he did a pre-release out of his blindness, took a super hard fall, got up with a smile on his face and finished his run. This was only a couple of years ago. So let's go to the U.S. Ski Hall of Fame, U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. I am an honored member. I am on the board of directors, and I am also an underdog proponent. So since I've been on the board, I've piped up or chimed in on many different rules and regulations that they're trying to pass, and award recipients and nominees, and trying to extend the Hall of Fame to more inclusion, more diversity. And I authored a Women in Snow Sports Industry Award in 2019, which brings women who have made huge contributions throughout the snow sports industry into the forefront and the spotlight. And then what happens is their packet will go into the queue for possible nomination to the actual Hall of Fame. So far we've honored 4 women: Barbara Alice Simon, which is one of your recipients; Diane Boyer, whose family started Scale; Cheryl Jensen, who's raised literally millions for the Disabled Veterans Program out of Vail; and then Maria Bogner. Where would we be without Maria Bogner and her amazing designs and her implementation of the sleek and, I guess you could say sexy, I'll use that word, stretch pants for both men and women, okay? So those are our 4 recipients. They are extraordinary women, and I was so excited this year because we caught up from COVID and out of 3 of them. I was so excited I didn't know what to do with me. But anyway, this is what I work for. I'm working now on a judges recognition, judges and officials, and a technician's recognition. These are people that don't get any recognized for what they do. And the key phrase for the technicians is they keep the athletes in the game. Because without them, and I know very well, Chris Hanna, amazing guy, but without those technicians, the wax on the skis, the binding center, the dim setting, the boots, making sure they're clean and that you're secure in your equipment. And yeah, there are foibles. It doesn't happen all the time. It's not 100% foolproof. Things happen. Okay, you can deal with snow conditions, weather conditions, whatever. But those technicians and the judges and officials are a huge part of the snow sport industry. So that's a little bit about what I've been working on with the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame, how many of you know that there's a United States Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame? And it's okay if you say no, because I'm going to explain it anyway. It's located in Ishpeming, Michigan. Where the heck is Ishpeming, Michigan? It is close to Marquette, close to the shores of Lake Superior. And now you're saying, why the heck is it there? Because Ishpeming is the home of the first organized skiing in the United States. They have tremendous Nordic programs, which there's a continuing Nordic jumping competition that's been over 100 years, consistently, consecutively. So that they earned the right, and they also did the National Ski Association, NSA, was established there. So that's why they've earned the honor of having the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame in Ishpeming. We are looking at possible satellite sites so we can get the name and the word out. But the accumulation of memorabilia up there is incredible. And what they do is we have our gala evening where we're inducted, and then we're invited up to Ishpeming for hanging our plaques at the Hall of Fame. The people of Ishpeming open their hearts, they open their homes, they open everything to us, and it's just the most wonderful weekend. And I went in, and I literally sat on the floor by myself, and I just looked at all the people that have been put into the Hall of Fame. And it was humbling, very humbling. And I sat there for about an hour, just looking and absorbing everything. And the memorabilia that they have, the skis, the clothing, the films. We now have a women's area, women in snow sports area. We have a perpetual trophy where that will happen. And the reason behind all this, I was the only woman inducted in my class for the Hall of Fame. And I'm standing there going, And we were talking earlier about how wonderful it is to see all of you women in big positions with the Far West Ski Association. That's incredible. Not taking anything away from the men at all. But it's nice to see a lot of women involved in this organization that has done so much for the snow sports industry. Joe, do we have video? Okay. Joe. Okay. This is the first one we're going to show is a women's ABC special for women in sports. It was done in 1975, which was kind of the beginning of people realizing that women in sports were exciting, they were talented, they were incredible athletes. And this was with Billie Jean King as a host, Donna DiVerona as a narrator. It had, I'm going to show you my portion just for time-wise, but it had Francie LaRue, distance runner, Old Dominion basketball team.
An historic confrontation between Billie Jean King and Chris Evans, the two top women tennis players in the world. They talk together about what it means to win, help each other on the practice court, and then compete all out at Wimbledon, the last great singles tournament of Billie Jean King's great career.
Hi, I'm Willy Bogner King. For the next hour, we'll be showing you some of America's greatest sportswomen. We want to share with you our dedication, our energy, and our love of sport. And just around the bend, there's a new world coming. This one's time to live.
That goes right up in speed.
You just give it a try, and it's growing strong. Every day, passes by. The new world of women's sports is beautiful and exciting. So are its stars. You'll get to know Chris Evert as a warm human being, as well as the great athlete I played at Wimbledon. Reporter Donna DiVerona and I will introduce you to some of America's great champions in freestyle skiing, golf, basketball, track, and swimming. Join us in our wonderful new world.
The Lady is a Champ, brought to you by the Colgate-Palmolive Company, maker of quality household, health, and personal care products for your family. And by Ram Golf Equipment. Kendall, maker of Curad and Curity products, and Bancroft tennis equipment, all members of the Colgate family of companies.
There's a whole new world opening up for women's professional sports in America. One of the newest and most exciting developments is freestyle skiing. Donna DiVerona talked about the spectacular sport with Genia, the 1975 women's freestyle champion.
Did you ever think that freestyle would take off as a sport like it has in the last 4 years? When I first got into it, I wasn't sure, but it definitely has possibilities. It's so exciting, and there's always something new coming out. I know you skied before and you have a background in ice skating and gymnastics, so you were kind of ready-made for it. I think the key word in freestyle skiing is creativity.
It's not just exciting, it's wild. The skiers barreling down the steep slopes in the multi taking you, as they say, over the rough bumps. But you ain't seen nothing yet. Groups like this one, on skis, 40 feet in the air. Somersaults, springs, spectacular maneuvers on 3 jumps. That's the aerial. The 30-minute is ballet. It can be lyrical or energetic. The music is the key. They pipe the music right onto the hill. Here's Genia in a winning ballet routine with golden holding. Walk around the clock. This helped Genia take top prize money in the $9,000 Colgate Women's Freestyle Circuit this year. Freestyle skiing is a combination of skating, gymnastics, skiing, and fun.
Yeah, you ready? Yeah, you with no pole and me with one. There's no difference.
There's some difference. Genia's ballet style is based on her years of training as a figure skater, and she doesn't use ski poles in her ballet routine. One of the very few skiers who does it. Here at Heavenly Valley, Genia's preparing for a new season of freestyle competition. She demonstrates for Donna a basic maneuver used to link the different moves in her ballet program. This is an easy one, a bone break, as the freestylers laughingly call
I go along and just kind of traverse, and I cross over, step, and around.
Magic.
And yes, you have to defend the title next year, as you mentioned, and I'm certain that you will be changing your routine. What besides maneuvers will you be doing? What I'm going to try and do, and it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, is try like a slow piece of music. You know, something slow and graceful. I've been going out fast and just kind of zooming down the course and people going out, oh yeah, that was a good routine, but now it's all over. It's really fast. And I'd like to do a really slow music. Okay, so what would you do? You change the music. And you use some of the moves, new moves that you've developed that maybe relate to ice skating. Yeah, right. And like the hand movements are so important. I mean, the difference between like, you know, going into a maneuver like this versus, you know, this type of thing is incredible.
They want the blossoms to be.
Well, this year you did change ballet by using your arms and stretching out and extending. Yeah. Now that timing must be very important, and certainly I would think that on snow, the timing would change than on ice. You've got to have a lot more lift. You've got to use your arms. Really, you know, like kind of an over-exaggerated movement. And on ice, it isn't so exaggerated.
I can't be contented with yesterday's glory.
Genia can't rest on her laurels as last year's overall world champion. She wants to keep on winning in freestyle competition. The essence of the sport is innovation and creativity. So Genia is working on a new and even more dazzling program to the glorious music of Eagle and the Hawk. What better way to express the beauty and exhilaration of skiing free?
Aggressive.
Freedom,
No less dedicated are the stars of women's professional golf. So, the players who make it on a demanding 10-month LPGA tour.
So just for the sake of time, we're not going to show the whole special. As you can see, that was an incredibly groundbreaking piece. And it was played during the weekend of the NCAA basketball finals, and it actually beat them in ratings. Wow. So, yeah, it's something I'm very proud of. And I had it digitized a few years ago, and it's just now getting out, and it's on YouTube, actually, if you want to watch the whole thing. But it shows you, and it showed a lot of people that the women are excited, they're talented. It's not an ego thing, we've worked on our craft and we've perfected it, and now we're at a world-class level and we're doing it. And the visibility has increased for women in sports. I'm not a women's libber, but I am a huge underdog proponent. And, I fought the fight back in the 70s for just little things. And one story I wanted to tell was, we were up at Superstar in Canada, the Okanagan Valley. Thank you. And at the end of the competition, I was hungry for my title back. I was very sick in 1976 and came back in 77, moved up a spot. 78, I was hungry. I wanted that title back. So the last competition was at Superstar, and I was told that the women would not be on the podium because somebody forgot to bring the medals up. And I'm like, what? So I turned to him and I said, excuse me, but nobody's getting on the podium until somebody goes down and brings them up. So the men and the women, if you remember, Scotty, we sat on the podium until those medals came up, and then we had the award ceremony. Because by the time the medals came up, the press would have been gone, they have deadlines. And so I never pulled the, hey, I'm a world champion card. I never did that. But at that point, it was important that I used my voice because that was so unfair. And Scott and his then wife, Mary, carried through, did the awards. I still have my beautiful silver brandy snifter, which thank you so much for doing that and keeping it alive. I can't thank you enough for that. This has been a journey that has been so wonderful. And now to meet all of you who are still keeping the dream alive, so to speak, I so enjoyed last night and meeting so many of you. The atmosphere and the friendships, I'm sure, will last for a very long time. But most of all, thank you so much for including me in your group and having me as keynote speaker. Thank you. I have one other video, if you're interested. It's the tribute video for the Hall of Fame. So it's a special thing, dear to my heart, and yes, we'll do that one. And then I promise I'm done.
Whether you're trying to get your ideas down, compose a message, or reply to someone, it can be difficult.
Genia Fuller brought the perfect package of talent to the glory years of professional freestyle skiing. Charisma, creativity, and a radiant smile, and brilliant on-snow versatility rooted in a figure skating background. She arrived without the pedigree of the more established competitors, yet in her first full season in 1974, Genia became the first to win all 4 events. An amazing feat in a sport that was trending towards specialization. She was named Ski Magazine's Freestyler of the Year, an honor she would win twice more in the next 4 seasons. She also led the effort to bring equal prize money on the women's tour, including a record $90,000 purse from Colgate for the 1975 season. Genia's skiing fame also took her to high visibility roles in several television shows like the Women's Superstars and the ABC special The Lady is a Champ. Her career began at the revered Skating Club of Boston, but the mandatory school figures bored her, leading Genia at age 13 to the slopes of Jericho Hill in Marlborough, Massachusetts. With her technical skills, she placed 3rd out of 300 instructors at a PSIA training clinic. Funding help got her to the 1973 Nationals in Sun Valley, where she won the aerials and finished 3rd in the combined. With that success, she was named to the freestyle director position at Park City West. She was just 18 years old. Genia went on to win more titles than any other skier at that time. She said that being consistent in all 3 events was important to her. She was happy as long as there was a crowd to turn on and music to ski to. She appeared in Willy Bogner.
I'm human.
Films for and Dick Bergman. She helped promote skiing by participating in more than 500 ski shows and modeling clothing in glamorous magazines like Vogue. For freestyle skiing, Genia was an ambassador, a role model, and an advocate for sponsors. Her post-competitive career has had much variety too. A country music performer, a retail manager, and now serving as an EMT and training others. She has also returned to skiing and is thrilled to be back. For her incredible talent, enthusiasm for freestyle, and ability to promote skiing, Genia Fuller's story will have a permanent place in our ski and snowboard history as we welcome her as an honored member of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
I don't know what that is. So anyway, Scott, Brooksbank. Oh, you only go by Brooksbank, don't you? Would you come up here, please? I was aiming to bring some special items, and with the idea of raising funds for the Junior Racer program. And one of them is a signed poster by Scott Brooksbank. There's a signed poster by myself. I also have one with a signed poster from John Clendenin, and a signed poster by Eddie Ferguson, who is no longer with us, and a signed poster from Bob Salerno, who is no longer with us. And what we'd like to do, where are you? No, you're fine. Yeah. This is one of the most iconic pictures from this era of skiing, freestyle or not. This is Eddie Ferguson. I believe it's the Look-Ma run, and he just entered off the first bump up above, and hung a huge jump, and had a very exciting run, which won him the title. So we're going to, you take it away. Okay, okay, this is for the junior racing program, and all the money goes there. Nobody else gets anything else other than the junior racers. So go ahead.
Now I gotta point out, these can be framed, and they can go in your ski room. And I know there's several of you here that have those types of things, ski rooms. Am I right? Somebody over here? Anyway, I gotta say, these are very worthy pieces that are gonna grace your ski room and or your house for many years. People are gonna woo and wah over it. So let's start the bidding off at $50 here. 50. Excuse me.
Eddie's nickname was Airborne Eddie because he loved aerials. He put a summer camp together at Whistler, right? No. Crystal Mountain, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. At Crystal Mountain, and had literally thousands of aspiring freestylers go through those camps. They are still posting on Facebook today how much fun it was, how much they helped. He had coaches like, you coached for him, Scott was a coach, Mike Grazier. These are all aerialists extraordinaire. Eddie, again, was known as Airborne Eddie because of his love of aerials. And yes, he could get air like crazy, just on stand-up aerials that we were allowed to do in mobiles. We could not do inverted maneuvers in the mobile ones. So let's have a nice bid for Eddie's poster. Do we hear $50? Gentleman in the green shirt, do we hear 60? Oh, he's a Boise boy, yes. I'm so sorry, I forgot that.
Started skiing at Bogey Space.
That's right. No wonder you don't like Californians.
So we've had a bid at $65 here. Halfway here, 70. 77, anyway, come on out. $70. Raise your hand right here, $70. 100, yes, indeed. We're talking $100 here. Mr. Franklin has stepped up. How about it? How about any more? 120? 120 in the back. 120. 120. How about 125? Put it even. Put it even. 125. Anybody? 120? 120? Right here. We got 120. What do we got back to 125? 125. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. We got a little bidding going on now. 120, 125. Let's see 130. Anybody got to step up? 130. Frameable for your house? Yeah. 130. 130. Anybody? 130. Anybody? Everybody. So 125 right down here.
All of those.
No, he said 120. He's the 125.
Okay, next up. Yes, I do. In a minute. The next poster is a signed poster by Scott Brooksbank. Legend, incredible, and I'm going to have him explain where this poster came from so you'll know.
They had an aerial moratorium right after Vail in 1973. Our next event that year was going to be in Sun Valley, but they shut it down. And then Mr. Bud Palmer came up to me and said, Brooksbank, we may not be able to get this on television, but we're going to certainly try. So would you go and find me 4 guys that had a special aerial competition? And then we'll do it right after the ballet event up on the top of Roundhouse. I said, sure. I went and got Stan Larson, Mike Lund, and Greg Smith, and myself. In the meantime, after I was done competing, they had already constructed the jump, and ADC was there for the cameras. So it was all ready, taken off the place. The first guy that goes off the jump is Mike Lund, and he's going to do a jump that nobody's ever even seen before, and he's never really completed it before. And he ended up in a mess, walked away, and so the next gear that was going to go off was Stan Larson. He did about a 140-foot helicopter and skied away, but nobody had, they were expecting people to go upside down, so it really didn't impress them. So Smitty went the next year, he did about a 90-foot back somersault with his legs out and his arms out, spread eagle. And when he landed, we were still required in those days in 73 to wear RO safety straps. Now you can imagine what might have happened when he landed. That's right. So the ski kind of gators around his legs, traps him up, and then suddenly he just goes down on the snow and he's not moving. Bill O'Leary, the big he-man on the tour, beard, handsome, muscles, he comes from across the other side of the arena and he says, Smitty, what are you doing? You okay? He says, I think I got my pride and joy in both hands. And opened up, and Bill O'Leary fell down and passed out on the snow. Now we got 2 people down on the snow. And so finally Stan Larson came over and drug everybody off the course. We got Smitty to the hospital that afternoon. But immediately after that, I'm the next jumper, and it took forever. My good friend at that time I had just met months before that was Dick Barrymore. And Dick Barrymore always sort of hung around with me, and I hung around with him and made sure he got great shots. And so we agreed on this angle. And lo and behold to him, the owner of Smith Goggles, Bob Smith, walks up and says, "Hey, Dick, my wife just gave me an entire Nikon system, and I don't know the first thing about it. So would you mind running me through the loops and tell me when to shoot when the next guy comes off?" So Dick said, "Yeah, just stand right here next to me, and when I say shoot, you just keep pushing that button." And so I went off to the jump, did this jump. Bob Smith took the photograph. Then he had to figure out how to get some depreciation on it, write off some tax money. So he had to actually put his talent to use. They made a film, or they made the posters from a company in California. And when it came out, I found out about it, and I asked Mr. Barrymore, and I said, "Well, that was really nice of you guys to do that without me being involved. Is there anything that we could do to sort of fix this and patch this up?" And he said, "Well, I got some money, but not a lot. But I could give you a bunch of posters." So I said, "How's 500 sound?" Done. So for the next 35 years, I specifically traveled around the world with another stash of posters that I could sign and give away to all of my friends that I met whenever I traveled. This last year I was recently inducted into the Hall of Fame, and all my skier friends that were there, I handed out posters to them, and I have about 35 left. So this is the one story that's going to be attached to this poster. So take it away.
All right, you remember where the money's going here? To the scholarship fund. So, should we start off with $100? Oh, wait a minute.
We have a request to show all the posters that we have, so you can choose which one you would like. We have Scott Brooksbank, or you can go for 2 or 3. This is the poster that I did over in Japan. This is a signed poster by Bogner from Bob Salerno. And then this is John Clendenin, who was also a Hall of Famer and a world champion, signed by him. Okay? So we have all of these. We're going to do them one at a time. Yes, ma'am. Far West Athletic Scholarship Program. They're all junior racers, and they get scholarships. And what did you say?
They don't have a real what else?
No, just clarification of which.
Okay. All right. So let's start with Scott's poster. Let's get some bids back.
$100 right here. Come on. Right in front. $100 right here. Speed Cox. 110. 110. Anyone? 115. 150. 150. 150. Yes, indeed. Now we're talking. 150. How about 160? 160 right here. Speed Cox. 180. Wow. Yes. 180.
Scott, come back up here so we can take a picture of you with your poster.
Okay, we're gonna cease the bidding at 180 unless somebody jumps up at 200. We got $200. Another 30. 250. We got 250 back here. Anybody else? 275. 275. 275. 275. Sold. 250.
Scott has signed his name already, but if you want it personalized, he'll be more than happy to do that for you. Just come on up to the side here and we'll get that done. Okay?
All right. Is anybody still awake? Yeah. Okay. We're going to do the next one.
Oh, who's that? The history of this poster is there was actually a naughty word on my lips because the gentleman that was taking the picture was standing right where I wanted to land. This was done in Japan, in Hakuba, in 1977. I did a lot of work in Japan, love Japan. They get incredible snow over there.
My arms are getting tired.
You're looking for the naughty word, huh? I know all of those. Anyway, so let's open the bidding, please.
$100. It's worth $300. How many have to run it? 200. 250. You got 260, 275. 275. 300. Oh. 350. 325. 325. 325. Any others? 300. $450, yes indeed. Here, 500. Here, 500. Anyone, somebody, 500. Yeah. Come on, tax me, love. Think of it.
And the same person on the board. Oh, yeah. And we'll take a picture with you as well with the poster, okay?
Okay, folks, we're going to speed this up because we do have a few other things to take care of this afternoon. Oh, can't you see it from there? Let's start off at $400 here.
All right, so this is John Clendenin, known as JC. He was one of the early pioneers, crazy guy, awesome guy. He runs the ski doctor program out of Aspen, and he takes trips down to Chile with his students, and they have a wonderful time. If you're over in Aspen, check it out because they do some great stuff. But this was done in Heavenly Valley when he won the world championship there, and he is also an honored member of the United States Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
Remember, folks, you're not going to go out to the local gallery and find any of these signed posters. So this is your one time to offer up a few bucks for this scholarship program. Let's start it off with $300. Anybody? $300? You know you want this. Okay. Let's start at $100. Anybody can come up with $100 right away. $100, $200.
No, there were two fingers on it. I saw it.
100. How about 150? 150.
Come on, it all goes with kids.
Come on, 150 in the back. 150. Martin, you have some friends that are going to outbid you. Okay, how about
160. 160 back there.
160 in the back. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Bob. Anything? 175. 175. How about 175? Yeah, come on now.
200.
$200. Yes, now we're even talking. All right, 225. 225. Come on now. So we got 225, right? 200, Mark says stay at 200. Okay. Any other bids for beyond 200? Let's say 205 just for grids. No? Sold, Mark. 200.
No. Thank you, Mark. Well, I promised John I would sign for him, but it would be fun. And this one is a special one, because if you look at all the films, Bob Salerno and I are right next to each other for some unknown reasons. No, we never had a relationship, but we were always next to each other in all the photos and all the films. So Richard, and I want to say also, Richard Allen from Vintage Ski World is the one that supplied the signed posters for today, except for me. And this is one that was done by Bogner in Summerit, Switzerland. This is signed by Bob Salerno, and unfortunately Bob died in his sleep 2 years ago. Bob was a very special friend to me, and he was just an incredible guy. He was kind, he was willing to help you learn to ski, help you get excited about skiing. He ran the virtual snow program. He has a school that his son has taken over in Santa Monica, and they also have one up at Mountain High. So this is a poster. This is a collector's item like crazy because you're not going to get Bob to sign anymore. I can guarantee you that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. Snowbase, Utah. I want to say before we auction this off for $500, what an honor it is to have Genia and all of our wonderful VIP guests here today. We get this kind of action right here in Boise, Idaho. So thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm going to start it off at $100 for this one and only signed poster. $100 right here. Do we have 150? Right here, 150. 150 over here. 175, 175. Anyone this? 175. Okay, 200. $200. Yes, $200. Right here, 220. 220 right here. 225. Anyone? 225? How about 230? 225? Going once? 230. 230. Is that $300? 230. Just 230. Okay. So we got 230 going now. Once. 235. Anyone? 235. 230 going twice. Sold. $230 right here. Thank you. I don't know what the total is, David. I hope you have kept count. But I believe we're over 3,000. No, not quite. It's been a great opportunity for you all to bid on these, and just know it's gone to a great cause. Thank you. $1,205. I'm going to throw another.
Thank you. The Freestyle community is incredible. We like to give, we like to help, we like to be there for you if you need us. And it was incredibly evident, well, we're elegant too, I guess. Incredibly evident from like 2011 to now. It's an unusual family. It's a very heavy-duty family. The friendships run very deep. And we're there to help each other out, which is important. I also want to say we have a silent auction going on over there, but I do have some t-shirts with that image on it in the green suit. And instead of taking bids, I have several t-shirts. They're primarily mediums, I'm sorry. But we're going to sell them at $30 each. And again, the money will go to the kids. Okay? So those will be over there, and I will sign them for you.